Hey there, I'm Ari from the Tech Buyers Guru, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you an update on the PC component market in light of the coronavirus pandemic that has truly gripped the entire world. Now, in this video, I'll be talking about certain product categories that have been impacted more than others, and I'll also give you my predictions for the future. Now, first things first, I'm not going to talk at all about what's going to happen with the disease itself. I'm not an expert there, and I do suggest you listen to the experts in that regard. But what I do have some proprietary data on is shipments of PC products. And I also have a lot of communications with reps from various companies in terms of how coronavirus has affected them. So that's what I'll be sharing with you today. So first off, one of the well-publicized issues that came up when it came to PC components was that Amazon on March 21st said that they would prioritize essential goods and that non-essential products like electronics would not be shipped for 30 days. I was one of the first people to report on that on my website, and luckily this did not come true. So products on March 21st were apparently not going to ship until April 21st. All those products have been shipped. All my viewers and readers have gotten their products. What really happened was that Amazon prioritized certain products so that they would be able to cover themselves in a worst case scenario. So if they had too many orders come in on a certain day, they could just ship those essential products and say, hey, we told you you wouldn't get your electronics for 30 days, so, give us some time to get that to you. Long story short, people got their electronics, their PC components over the past 30 days. It hasn't been a problem. What is an issue at this point is disruptions to supply chains. And this is something that goes well beyond Amazon itself. There are interruptions to the shipping services themselves, UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service, international shipping, freight. All these have been affected by shutdowns, by interruptions. Second of all, a number of companies have had their US headquarters, their Europe headquarters, and other headquarters impacted by the coronavirus itself, which means that they can't staff their facilities and get these products out. So let me give you a kind of highlight of which component categories are most affected today in late April 2020. First off, cases. This is a huge, huge problem. What I have sitting in front of me is the Be Quiet Pure Base 500, my favorite case of 2019 and one I've highly recommended on the channel. Essentially, you can't really buy it in the US. And sadly, today was the day I was supposed to give you the new review of the Pure Base 500 DX, the update to this case. It was a huge hit at CES 2020 back in January when things were so different. Well, now in April 2020, Be Quiet couldn't even get me the sample. They had to ship it from Germany and they couldn't get it to the US on time for me to review the update to this very popular case. So today I'm not giving you a review of that case. I don't even have it on hand. But it's not just Be Quiet that's been hit. A lot of manufacturers have seen their supply of lower cost cases dwindle to near zero. I'm talking about just about every case under $80 is unavailable today in the United States. It's not just this case or Be Quiet's cases. And that is a true problem for people who are building on a budget. And frankly, I don't know when that's going to be alleviated. I think that cases in particular, the low-cost cases are very low margin. Obviously, they take up a lot of space in freight and in warehouses. It's probably not a priority for Amazon as the retailer or manufacturers as the shippers. They're going to probably prioritize smaller products, higher price products, and higher margin products. So if you're looking for a low-cost case, it's going to be tough for a while. Now, how about coolers? This is another area that's been very hard hit, and in particular, it's hit the manufacturers that don't have a US presence and therefore have to do a lot of shipping from abroad. One of my favorite coolers, the Fuma 2 from Scythe, frankly, my favorite cooler ever, is no longer available in the United States, and I've had to update all of my buyer's guides to replace it with other models. Scythe has told me that they have been impacted. They don't have a US presence, which means they run most of their business out of China. And the fact of the matter is that they can't even get their fans into the United States. They don't have the supply and they don't have the shipping lanes available to them. So a company like Scythe, a smaller company like that, is going to have a lot of trouble getting you to their product here in the United States for a long time to come. Arctic's another company that I really like. They're based in Europe. They do have a US facility. So what they've been doing is actually shipping products like the Freezer 34 Duo direct to consumers from their facility in Florida. So you're not going to necessarily buy it from an Amazon warehouse. You're going to order it on Amazon and get it from Arctic and it's going to be shipped from Florida. But even they have had a run on their supply. They've had to raise prices a little bit. So a cooler that would have been, say, $45 is now maybe $50. And some of the coolers and the various colors are out of stock. So that's just something you're going to see. Luckily, they're in a slightly better position because they do have a U.S. office. Now, how about power supplies? This is another one that is very troublesome, and power supplies are always impacted whenever there's a disturbance in the market when it comes to supply and demand. We saw this to a great degree when we had the cryptocurrency craze. Miners bought up all of the high-end power supplies. They were all gone. We saw this again when there was the trade dispute between China and the US. All power supplies are made in China, so they were impacted heavily by this dispute, by the tariffs, and we saw all low-end power supplies dry up. They were gone from the market. Well, today, because of coronavirus, we're seeing every power supply under $100 gone from the market in the United States. If you want a power supply today, you have to back order it unless you're buying something more expensive. But even some of the more expensive models that are most popular are sold out, like the RM850X from Corsair that I have here that I've recommended on the channel. You can't buy that either. So even big names like Corsair with high margin products like the RM850X can't keep these in stock despite that being a US based company. These products are all made in China and those freight lanes are just being interrupted. Now, there is one silver lining here for all of you out there, and that is that the small form factor market hasn't been hit as hard. Cases like the SG13 are still in stock. Power supplies like the SX650G from Silverstone are still in stock. So if you really want to build a PC today and you have any interest whatsoever in building a small form factor PC, this may be the time. It's hard to get the full-size cases, the full-size power supplies, and some of the full-size coolers as well. Go ITX. It's a great opportunity. And frankly, this stuff isn't even overpriced or marked up from regular prices. It's just selling at normal prices, and these things are in stock. So if you have the itch to build yourself a new PC in April, in May, the spring of 2020, when the coronavirus is active around the world, ITX is the way to go. This stuff is still in stock, and I'm really excited to be able to promote it on the channel because that's my favorite class of product. Now, how about looking forward? I think that we're going to see continued disturbance in supplies. And that is because essentially companies run with a 3-month supply. So as we see things start to dwindle, they aren't actually going to pick right back up because companies have to catch up with that supply and they can't get new product in the channel. Okay, they can't feed that retail channel because either their headquarters in Europe, in Asia, or the US are shut down due to the virus, or they can't get the stuff picked up by Amazon either because the shipping companies are not operating, because they're losing drivers to the sickness, because the warehouses are slowing down or overfilled with diapers and dog food and all the other products that people need. If obviously Amazon can't even get enough paper towels, toilet paper, hand sanitizers, that kind of stuff. So there are all sorts of different priorities competing right now for your dollars. But the truth of the matter is that it is not going to get better right away. That is my fear. Now, I do want to say that some companies have some really big product introductions coming up in the near future, and one of those is Intel. Intel is rumored to be releasing its long awaited Comet Lake series of CPUs, which is going to be its latest salvo in its attempt to beat back its competitor AMD in their Ryzen series of CPUs. Now, it's a difficult time to launch any product. The Be Quiet Pure Base 500DX that I don't have on hand today is a perfect example of that. Intel, of course, is a much bigger company. It's based in the US, so it has a little bit more might when it comes to getting things out and pushing things out into a market where things are not necessarily favorable. That being said, I think we'll still have some trouble because the motherboards, which are required for this new Comet Lake series. Remember, Intel is moving to a new socket, which I do not support. Intel does this all the time. Every second generation of CPUs requires a new socket. I believe that's an artificial limitation, and it's going to come back to bite Intel this time around because all those new 400 series motherboards simply aren't going to be available. In terms of other product releases, one of the companies I have a good relationship with is Silverstone. They're delaying a lot of their ITX products, unfortunately, things that a lot of you have been waiting for. Computex has been essentially canceled. It was actually delayed from June until September, but a lot of folks aren't even going to be attending that Computex event in Taiwan then. Who knows? It actually may be delayed further. Silverstone has told me they're just not going to attend. They're going to launch a number of products virtually this spring and summer, and I will be covering them on the channel. But so many other companies are going to have to navigate these rough waters in their own ways. There's no roadmap. There's no guide for any of us here in this pandemic. It's just a tough time, but the good news is that for the most part, if you want to build a PC, you can get the parts. You may have to back order. You may have to buy something a little bit more expensive. I've seen, for instance, plenty of power supplies at the $100 to $150 price point. And you know what? Making an investment in a really nice power supply isn't such a bad idea. I actually like it. Go a little bit higher wattage, go to a gold or platinum rated, go fully modular. And yeah, you can pick those up. And frankly, I think that's a good investment for the long term. You may not get quite the case you want or the color you want. You may have to substitute a cooler, but for the most part, you'll be able to get a PC together even in the worst of times. And that's a good thing because we all need a distraction at this point. And a computer is a really good distraction given how much it can add to your productivity if you're working from home, if you need to have some fun and play some games, if you want to share some videos with your children. There's nothing better than having a PC at home to get all that done. So if you have any questions or comments, as always, post them down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot, and I'll catch you next time.